A 3,300-year-old Egyptian document is raising new questions about one of history's most mysterious legends, the existence of giants. A resurfaced ancient scroll known as Papyrus Anastasi I, preserved in the British Museum, contains descriptions of encounters with a group of people who were said to be unusually tall, powerful, and feared by ancient travelers. Could this document simply describe exaggerated storytelling from the ancient world? Or does it hint at traditions and accounts that inspired legends found in religious texts and ancient mythology? Let's explore the mystery. Papyrus Anastasi I dates back to the 13th century BCE, during the height of Egypt's New Kingdom period. This was an era when Egypt controlled vast territories across the Middle East, maintaining trade routes, military outposts, and diplomatic connections throughout the region. The document itself is believed to be written as a training text for scribes, essentially an educational letter meant to teach geography, communication, and administrative writing. But within this training text lies a curious and fascinating passage. In one section of the papyrus, the writer describes dangerous travel routes through desert territories inhabited by groups known as the Shulsu people. According to the translated text, travelers were warned about these groups hiding in mountain passes and desert terrain. What makes the passage unusual is how these individuals are described. The document states that some members of the Shulsu were measured at 4 to 5 cubits in height. When converted using ancient Egyptian measurements, this places their height at roughly 7 to 8 feet tall. The text also describes them as fierce, intimidating, and unwilling to negotiate peacefully. Now, it's important to understand that ancient documents often mixed practical warnings with storytelling elements. Descriptions of enemies were sometimes exaggerated to emphasize danger or reinforce military authority. However, references to unusually tall groups appear in multiple ancient cultures, not just in Egypt. Some researchers and historians have drawn comparisons between this Egyptian description and passages found in the Hebrew Bible. One well-known example appears in the book of Genesis, which describes beings known as the Nephilim. These figures are portrayed as powerful individuals connected to ancient legends and described as men of renown. Later biblical passages, including sections in the book of Numbers, describe encounters with large, intimidating populations referred to as giants. While these biblical references are religious and symbolic texts, they've inspired centuries of interpretation, speculation, and, of course, debate. Some alternative historians and cultural researchers suggest that when ancient civilizations, such as Egyptian and early Israelite societies, independently recorded accounts of unusually tall populations, they may have been preserving memories of real encounters, later transformed into legend and mythology. Others believe these descriptions reflect symbolic storytelling used to represent power, fear, or spiritual concepts. Mainstream archaeology remains cautious, emphasizing that no confirmed skeletal or biological evidence has ever verified the existence of a separate race of giant humans. Still, the repeated appearance of similar stories across multiple ancient traditions continues to fascinate researchers and storytellers alike. Legends of giants are limited to Egyptian or biblical texts. Ancient Greek mythology describes towering titans. Norse mythology tells stories of frost giants. Indigenous oral histories from the Americas include tales of unusually large beings interacting with early populations. Even medieval European chronicles contain reports of large skeletal discoveries, though many of these accounts lack scientific verification. The recurring theme raises an intriguing question. Why do so many cultures describe similar figures in their earliest historical and mythological traditions? What makes Papyrus Anastasi I particularly valuable is that it represents an official administrative document from one of the world's most advanced ancient civilizations. Unlike folklore passed down orally, This text was recorded by trained scribes working within Egypt's government system. That doesn't necessarily confirm the existence of giants, but it does show that ancient Egyptians believed travelers were encountering populations they considered physically intimidating or unusually tall. And that belief was important enough to be preserved in written instruction. Today, historians continue to analyze Papyrus Anastasi I through linguistic study, archaeological comparison, and historical context. Most scholars interpret the document as a reflection of military caution, travel danger, and storytelling tradition, rather than literal biological evidence. However, the papyrus still provides valuable insight into how ancient civilizations viewed neighboring cultures, unknown territories, and the dangers of long-distance travel. History often reveals that myths, legends, and ancient records contain small fragments of real events, transformed over centuries through storytelling and cultural memory. Whether the descriptions in Papyrus Anastasi I were exaggerations, misunderstandings, or references to unique populations lost to history, they remind us of how much of the ancient world remains unexplored and, of course, misunderstood. Papyrus Anastasi I continues to intrigue historians, archaeologists, and mystery enthusiasts alike. It stands as a reminder that ancient texts still have the power to challenge our understanding of history and sometimes blur the line between documented record and legendary storytelling. As new technologies and discoveries continue to reshape archaeology, researchers remain hopeful that future findings may help clarify mysteries that have fascinated humanity for thousands of years. If you enjoy exploring ancient mysteries, archaeological discoveries, and historical enigmas, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the Ancient Destinations channel.